Welcome into the Triple F podcast. I'm Bob Johnson, and it is time to talk about Ottawa University Braves football in this late spring, early summer, Mayish, June-ish podcast with your head coach and mine, Nick Davis. Coach, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me, Bob. Excited to talk some football, family, and food.
Are dogs allowed? Should we allow dogs? We've had some technical difficulties to the dogs. This is take 2 of this podcast because of a surge protector dog paw incident. Should we just start banning dogs from the podcast?
No, I think my dogs will probably bark here in a little bit, so we'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know if we needed to run some interference or something, or give them a chew toy, but. You've been pretty busy. A lot has gone on since the last podcast. If you remember, we left the cliffhanger as we were going to talk about spring ball, as the Braves had their spring practices and then the spring game, and that was in April. And of course, then lots of other changes have happened since then. So we've got a lot to get to and to talk about, and let's go ahead and let's get into let's talk about what we always talk about on these podcasts. We have changes in the coordinating positions again, as co-offensive coordinator Tyler Hennis has parted ways with Ottawa University and has moved on to a different position. But it sounds like that isn't the only change that's going to be coming. So first off, was this something that was known ahead of time, or was this kind of a shock to you and the staff with Coach Hennis deciding to leave?
No, it wasn't too much of a shock. I'm not really allowed to reveal where he's going quite yet, but Coach Hennis had been in communication with me. He's going to go be a coordinator for a playoff NAIA football team, and it was just a good fit for him because his mentor was the previous offensive coordinator at that school, and that head coach kind of wanted to keep the system of what they had done previously under that offensive coordinator. So it was a natural fit. So the whole time I'd kind of known that Tyler was a good candidate. Their coach called me, and I said nothing but great things about Tyler, and I'm excited for him. I think he's going to go there and be able to make their program better football program than what they already are. He's going to have a chance to, be an immediate playoff contender where they're at, and have a chance to win some playoff games in the NAIA. And, with his wife and his new daughter, then an opportunity to be in a different part of the country. And so I was pretty excited for him and his opportunity that he got there.
So, for most people who might have seen it, I know there was a lot of murmuring at the season last year and that, and just a lot of unhappy fans with how things were going. There was nothing to it that for performance reasons or anything like that. It was straight. He had an opportunity. I want to make sure we set the record straight so there aren't any rumors or accusations or anything like that out there.
Yeah, no, it was definitely it was a great opportunity for him. We had done a little bit of different stuff this spring than what we had done last fall, but it was an opportunity for him to continue to do what he wants to do and go do it for a program that's made the playoffs the last 3 or 4 years, I believe. And then obviously, I always want my coaches to go on and get better opportunities. So because he left, that opened up a really good opportunity for Coach Anderson.
So now Clarence takes over the play calling duties in a sense. Is that correct to say?
Yeah, so we promoted Clarence to offensive coordinator, and so he's going to be taking over. And he's going to do a collection of things that Coach Kessinger had done a good job at, things that he's done at Bethany or William Jewell that he's really enjoyed. things that I did when I coached offense at Rose Holman, things that we did well this spring and last fall under Coach Hennis. Like it gives us really an opportunity to kind of start from the ground and build kind of what we want to get accomplished. And, I'm a coach that I'd like to get into, I'm on my fifth and sixth offense and defensive coordinator in my short career. But one thing we've done always on defense is we've had a steady playbook and steady terminology. And whether it's me or Dante Barti or our new D coordinator, we'll talk about here in a little bit, like the defense has always stayed the same. I'd like to get to the point where it's an offense that I believe in fully, that I'm excited about, our brand of football, and that just wasn't what we had. So if I had to go back and do it all over again, I think I would have done what me and Clarence are currently doing and build something from scratch that we think can be successful here at Ottawa. And it's not Tyler Hennis's, it's not Nick Davis's, it's not Clarence Anderson's, it's not Julian Mendez's, it's the Ottawa Braves offense. And, whether we get a coach that moves on to a good situation, then we bring in the next guy to run, what the kids feel super confident in doing.
So that leads into a couple of questions that I want to get into. First of all, you mentioned that uh, starting from scratch, but also taking pieces from different places. When you talk about starting from scratch, kind of go into a little more detail, if you would, for the listeners as to, is it play calls? Is it formations? Is it just the style of offense? Uh, Kind of a little bit of an idea without giving too much away, because we don't want to, we're not giving away trade secrets. I don't want to do that.
Oh no, I want to give it all away because I want everybody to be prepared for everything. But no, it's just one of those things that we have a chance to build this terminology on offense where it makes sense to, at least for now, right? Me and Clarence, and we can coach our kids up on the reasonings why we call certain things, and it be, what we're trying to get accomplished and what we think is best for the players. I think over my career as a defensive coach, and I coached 3 years of offense at Rose Holman, things that I've been a part of, things that we've done a really good job of in my different stops and when I've had a chance to coordinate is create a language system that is easy. If you come in on August 1st and your first practice is on August 5th and your first game is at the end of August, something that's easy for your really good football players to learn and understand and be able to execute. So going in and kind of the way Coach Hennis did his formations are similar. I spent a whole year on offense, and I think we'll add a few things to just make it a little bit better. We ran inside and outside zone and power and counter with Coach Hennis. We want to simplify the terminology maybe in the playbook just so we can get those plays called maybe a little faster. We had a lot of delay of games and didn't had to call timeouts because of the number of signals we had in our system. So simplifying that and playing with some tempo, which is things that the fans and the listeners saw with Kent Kessinger over those years, is something that we want to get accomplished. That's something that we did at Rose Holman. And there's plenty of things that Coach Anderson's done successful since he left here as a player, whether it was in his days playing or coaching since. And, there's several things that we went to and we looked at teams across the country that were super successful in offense. And we thought, hey, can we take something from this team? So, we're taking something here and there, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what we think is best for our personnel, what we think is best for our school, and puts us in a good situation to ultimately score some points, be easy for our kids to learn, and be able to execute at a high level. So that's what we're trying to get accomplished.
So you wouldn't say that you are one side of the ball or one side of the play call heavy to the pass or to the run. It's going to be what works best to your competition and what's working best that day.
Yeah, like if we're really good at running the football and that team's dedicating 9 players to stop the run, we have to be able to throw. And if we can't throw, then we're not going to win very many games because teams are going to be able to do that. And at times, teams did that to us last year, and at times they stopped our passing game and dared us to run the football. So we got to be balanced enough to take advantage. And in this, day and age is with the RPO, you need to have answers built in. And we had some of that stuff last year. And sometimes we executed and sometimes we didn't. But we need to be able to, you know, allow our football players to execute. And if we have a run called and they got 9 in the box, we got to be able to have an answer to beat that with an RPO pass down the field. And when we catch those balls, not only do we need to recruit good enough players or we need to coach it up better that when we have those opportunities, we make the teams pay and be able to score some points in those situations.
What is it that excites you the most about this opportunity? You've kind of alluded to a little bit of it with starting from scratch and maybe simplifying, but what else that, because it does feel like uh, that maybe things are going to are going to maybe be a little bit smoother or on track's probably not the right terminology, but uh, there seems to be a little bit of an excitement with this change in what you're building.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I get to do something I've never done, really. I briefly coached our offensive line at Rose Holman during the fall of COVID because we didn't have an O line coach hired yet. So I briefly was able to kind of oversee that a little bit. But this will be the first time in my career that I'm going to go and coach the offensive line. So it's a new challenge for me that I'm excited about. And I'm really excited about creating this new system with Coach Anderson and seeing if we can, help be a difference in being able to get this program, a little bit more success than what maybe we had last year. So I'm excited about that. The guys are super excited, that Clarence is the coordinator and is able to, come in because they understand that guy played at the highest level in 2008, 9, 10, and 11, and then came back and coached at the highest level. And those guys are super excited. Like they believe in him, which I'm super pumped about. So from an offensive aspect, like I've been a defensive coordinator for 8 years of my career and have had some success on that side of the football. It's kind of cool to go on the offensive side of the football. And I know I coached offense last year, but we were really doing what Tyler wanted to get accomplished, and I believe fully in what he was going to do. And I think what he does, he's going to go have a lot of success next year at the next school because those kids are going to firmly believe in what they're trying to get accomplished. So I'm super excited for him in doing that. But now I'm excited that me and Clarence are going to be able to do this together and start from scratch and figure out what is the best thing to win football games in this conference.
Do you feel like that there is a excitement building up on campus? You mentioned a little bit about with the players being excited. Do you kind of sense some electricity building with just on campus for this fall?
Yeah, I think there's always that. I think everybody on campus wants to see us get back to the days that we were super successful. I think everybody on campus wants that, from our administration to the students. And, our flag football team just won their third national championship. So Ottawa University is a football school, third winningest men's football program in NAI history, and we're the winningest flag football program in the world. So this is, in my mind, what this university does, and I want to hold our end of the bargain and get us back in the winning side on the men's game.
So walk me through. this and our listeners, because I want to kind of give them a little bit of a kind of a little behind the scenes look here. When it comes to installing this offense now, and you've mentioned pulling pieces from different areas, do you guys as coaches walk in with a playbook? Do you guys look at things and say, we need to diagram this or create this? And then how do you go about picking what you want in that playbook? So kind of give us a little bit of a breakdown of how that works.
Yeah, so I think we went back and we watched what we did this spring, and we saw what we were successful with, and we know the areas of our strengths and our weaknesses on our offense. The our spring football game, our starting defense shut out our starting offense 14-0 in the game, and our second string offense scored 14 points on the second string defense. And then a week later we came back and we scrimmaged and we put the starting defense and the starting offense on a team, and they won 14-0. I don't think our defense is the greatest defense since the Chicago Bears with Dick Butkus. Do I think there's talent? Yeah, but we got, I would want to have points scored on our defense to show us that we're getting in that area. But we want to figure out, what we were successful at last year against the defenses we saw. And it brings a good opportunity into looking into what our conference is going to be like. We add Evangel. We go to two divisions. The NAI passed a rule where if we win our division, we'll go to the playoffs. So our division is Avila, it's Kansas Wesleyan, it's Tabor, it's St. Mary's, and it's Sterling. So me and Coach Anderson kind of went to the drawing board and saw, okay, what can we do in those 5 games to be successful? I obviously want to be able to compete at a highest level against the other 6 teams in our conference. But at the end of the day, if we can be successful in those 5 games, our last 5 games of the season, against those 5 opponents, we'll give ourselves an opportunity to, make the playoffs, whether it's next year or the following years. That's what we're building for, is to have success in those 5 games. Yes, I'd like to win 11 games, but at the end of the day, if we can win those 5 games at the end of the season, we give ourselves a chance to go to the playoffs. You don't have to rely on coaches' rankings anymore. You just have to win your conference, and our conference will essentially be a 6-team division. So we went out and did some research. We took Coach Anderson to Rose-Hulman, where I was at, because I was excited about that style of play and how fast they play. I've met with an offensive coordinator at Kenyon College who coached with me at Rose-Hulman, went off to do a bunch of really cool stuff at Division I school, and now is an offensive coordinator at Kenyon College, who historically hasn't been very good, and he won 3 games and lit the scoreboard on fire. So seeing what he does, having Coach Anderson reach out to his connections, Coach Matt Middleton is at Kansas State now, an Ottawa alum. What do they do successful? We went to their clinic. We went to Kansas's clinic. We just picked up little things here and there that we think we can bring back to our program and make us successful with the personnel we have.
So I'm going to ask this question. And this is probably maybe a reflective question for you. Maybe you haven't thought about. And as people look in and see that there's been a lot of changes as far as coordinators go, and not saying that any of those are on your shoulder. It's just people have moved on to better positions, done things like that. But do you get concerned that people don't look deeper to see that coordinators have moved on to do something different, better, whatever you want to say, and that it looks bad upon the team, yourself, or the university?
No, I think it's definitely all positive thing. Like all four of the coordinators we've had, whether it be Julian Mendez or Coach Hennis or Wes Coombs or Dante Barti, have gone on and kind of had better opportunities, which is really cool. That's something that I get excited about as a head coach because those guys are going on to fulfill the things that they're trying to get accomplished in their careers, you know. And I think it's somewhat telling that those guys are getting opportunities. And we went, 2-8, and before, last season we were 5-6. So it shows you that those are good football coaches that are going to get good opportunities, and people, whatever our record is, respect that we have a good football program and we have good football coaches. So I definitely think it's a positive thing, outside of our program, and our administration, all those I could care less what, other people across our conference or our state think. They probably do. Oh, they're 2-8. Everyone's trying to leave, I'm excited that these guys are going on to bigger opportunities, and I'm able to promote a guy like Clarence Anderson, who had never been a coordinator, to a coordinator role. And I'm sure we're going to talk about our new defensive coordinator here in a little bit, but able to, bring in another alum to coordinator defense. So those are things that really excite me about, and it gives me new energy to work with new people because I always want to learn. I want to learn new things from new people. Am I going to hate winning 10 consecutive years and keeping my coordinators? No, I think that would be really cool if you could keep that group together, but I also want ambitious coaches that want to go on and do things and not get complacent and want to just coach with me for the rest of their career.
So that does lead in to what you were kind of talking about with a new defensive coordinator. So with all the changes that have went on, and you brushed on it a little bit with before we started recording, uh, but you sought some advice, decided to go into a certain direction, and there is a we'll have a new defensive coordinator for Ottawa University this fall, but it's a familiar face. So tell us about the process in making this decision, kind of why you're going this route, and let us know who this new
Yeah.
defensive coordinator is.
Yeah. So, definitely I felt we had two options. Promoting Coach Anderson to offensive coordinator was we need to go and find an offensive line coach. It was option one, or I go coach our offensive line and we bring in a defense coordinator that's willing to, do what we have done and what I think we've been successful on the last two seasons, whether it was me or Dante coordinating our defense with the, what we've built. I think we are ahead on the defense side of the football than what we've been offensively. I still don't think we're to the win playoff game elite level on defense. But I think if we scored enough points, that we would give ourselves chances to win a lot of football games, in October and November. So looking into that aspect, and I also was understanding, hey, this is Coach Anderson has never coordinated an offense before. I could go find a guy who had defensive coordinator experience, and I'd be able to help Coach Anderson as a first time offensive coordinator and be able to, in my mind, if people have talked over the last few years that our offensive line is, the reason, which I don't think it's the reason that we're unsuccessful, but I have every confidence in myself that I can help that group get better as football players. So, yeah, we went in that direction where I said, hey, and it was one of those deals that I made a few phone calls and asked opinion on a few people, whether it be Kent Kessinger or Josh Homoka, who's one of my biggest mentors in the world. Josh had told me, like, hey, a few times, any time you get a chance to hire Blake Mudd, you should. And Blake Mudd was a graduate assistant here for the program, and then actually left to go to Northern Illinois with Josh, and worked his butt off, and then went to presentation, and then ended up in Lawrence coaching high school for a few years, and then had a chance to go back up to presentation to be the defensive coordinator, and actually was a huge part of why a program who hadn't won a football game in 2 years went on to win a few football games. Those are things I take notice. They have one person change in their program, and they go to four more victories than what they had had the previous 2 seasons. So instantly, I knew it was going to be a good fit for us for him to come over and run our defense. And everything I know about him is he's an extremely hardworking guy. He's a great recruiter. He's an alum. Super excited about that. So my offensive coordinator is an alum. My defensive coordinator is an alum, and obviously me graduated here from our graduate degree. Our three full-time coaches have a vested interest in this program because we're all alums. So it's kind of the vision I had with Julian Mendez and Wes Coombs that we never got to because both of them got phenomenal opportunities before last fall. We're kind of back to that point where we got a lot of momentum build up from alums being really excited about our new offense and defensive coordinator.
A lot of excitement there, and you kind of mentioned, which to me, I think is very respectable, in a sense that some coaches wouldn't be willing to go seek advice, and you doing so and kind of reaching out and trying to get maybe some different views outside of maybe what you would see. So I think kudos for that. That's fantastic in that sense. But you said Josh always was telling you, if you get a chance, you got to hire Blake Mudd. Why did you have to hire Blake Mudd? What was his reasonings?
Yeah, I mean, it was just how hard he was going to work, and he was going to outwork people, and he wants to be super successful. He cares about the kids. He's going to be a super good X and O's football coach. He's going to have relationships with the kids. He cares about the kids. He's not only going to care about the kids and be a good football coach, he cares about the campus, the community, is a Kansas guy, and just going to outwork anyone. And that kind of reminds me of myself a little bit. I'm always a guy that I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I would always try to outwork somebody, whether it be smarter, not necessarily harder, but I was always going to find a way, and I wasn't ever going to just settle for, oh, I couldn't get that thing accomplished. I was going to figure it out. So when my mentor says, hey, this guy's very much like you, that gets me excited because I want to be around people that are like-minded.
Will there be changes as to what is done philosophically with the defense, or will things kind of be in the status quo?
Yeah, he's going to get on campus in June. He's bought into doing, what we've done previously. And again, whether he wants to blitz on first down, that's going to be his philosophy. He wants to play tight coverage just like me and Dante have done. And, I think what you've probably noticed is we've done similar things, whether it was me or Dante, over the last 2 years, but Dante had his own flair on it. I had my own. Like if opposing offensive coordinator were to break us down, we would have two different tendencies. So I'm sure Blake coming in is going to have a third. So it's really the same defense with all the tools in the toolbox with three different coordinators. So, you saw us play 3 down last year. You saw us play 4 down. You've seen us play 5 and 6 down. So an offensive coordinator is going to have to be prepared for everything they've seen the last 2 years from me and Dante, and also know that we got a different guy calling the plays that he may not even call half the stuff that Dante did or half the stuff that I did. We have a lot of experience with Cole Greenwood coaching our defensive line this spring, and he coached our D-line last spring, and Reese Schaff is back with our linebackers, and Jacob Garcia is going to help out in the secondary, and he's actually going to coordinate our special teams. So not only are our offense and defensive coordinators alum, our special teams coordinator is an alum as well, and a 3-time All-American and 1-time academic All-American. So Blake's really coming into the program and knows the least amount of our defense. So I think he's in a really good shape. So he's going to get on campus. We're going to teach him, hey, this is what all this means. And put us in a situation to be successful on Saturday. And obviously, I'll have opinions here and there, but just like Dante, it's going to be his show, and I want him to feel comfortable. And I don't want to lose football games because I tell him to do something. At the end of the day, I want him to feel super confident in his game plan. And we felt that we put him in a good situation with a lot of tools in his toolbox to be successful. And if we ever get another full-time position, hopefully what we've done with our offense would be the same thing, that I could go back and coach defense, and Coach Anderson would get the new O-line coach in a position that we'd be super successful, because it's what our system of our program runs, not necessarily, oh, we got a new coach, we're going to do new things. It is, hey, we have tools in our toolbox. Let the new coaches use those tools to the best of their abilities.
With this change, is this something that you have to sell to the players, or do they understand kind of what they're going to be getting as a defensive coordinator?
You hope. And again, a lot of these decisions were made, and it was we have a group message system, and you send out a message, and you don't know exactly, but things we're hearing are positive. I've known a few of the offensive linemen were excited, and we told them when we promoted Coach Anderson that I was going to go out and I was going to look for the best offensive line coach in the country. And if I couldn't find that guy, for our salary we have, that I was going to coach the O-line, and I was going to make them as good as I possibly could. And there was, some guys after that meeting been like, hey, just things that got back to me, like, I wouldn't mind if Davis was the offensive line coach. So I think that gave me some confidence too, that, I had kind of said, hey, if we can't find anybody, I'm going to do it. And there was already players thinking, hey, if Coach Davis is our line coach, I think we'll be in good shape. So that kind of gave me some confidence. But, you hope the culture we've built, that these kids understand that everything that we're trying to do as a program, from the top of me to the coordinators to the GAs, is to put them in a situation to be super successful. Everything I've done since I've taken over as the head coach has been to make our program the most successful it could be. And it's not about me, it's about everyone in our program. Everything we've done in our locker room, everything that we've preached in our meetings and out on the field, it's nothing to do with me. It's about us being the best Ottawa football team that we can possibly be, and creating this amazing family atmosphere and a mindset that's unbelievable, and being super accountable. That's what we've tried to get accomplished. So if I've done a good job, if our coaches have done a good job, hopefully they got that news and they're like, yep, all right, Coach Anderson and Coach Davis and the GAs are making decisions to put us in the best situation to be super successful. That's what you can only hope for, that these guys are following our lead, and know that we're trying to put them in situations to be successful.
So now we'll break away and let's talk a little bit about spring ball. Kind of compare where you think you are now as compared to a year ago, when it comes to, you've got a year under your belt, you've got obviously there will be some different philosophies now going into this year, but kind of give us a little bit of an idea. Where do you feel like that things have progressed with this team from a year ago?
Yeah, I think our family atmosphere, part of our core belief, is we got better. Are we where exactly I think we could be? No, I don't think we'll ever be my hope of how we are. I would want all 150 guys to love each other unconditionally, and not, have any waiver in that. And I don't know if you'll always get 150 guys on the same page in terms of that, but I think we definitely have improved. Our accountability, it was crazy the difference we've made from last spring to this spring in terms of the number of guys that were late and missed things. So I think that has been phenomenal. Are we perfect? No. We got to get better in that aspect too. I think our mindset has got better, and I think even with this change at coordinator, I think that's helped. At the end of the day, if our kids believe that Coach Anderson's going to be the best offense coordinator in the country, that's all they need to believe. That's phenomenal. That's half the battle right there is the kids believing in it. So I think from the end of spring to our announcement within the coach, that's got better. I think defensively, we've taken necessary steps where we could be a dominant defense, but it's going to be up to our players. I think they have the potential to be a dominant defense every single game. And I think we could shut out teams potentially next season. But they will have to make another stride to get better. I think our offensive line as a whole has got better. We've got deeper. We've got older. We're still not there yet. And they're going to have a new coach, and the new coach is going to have to figure out how to coach them and how to challenge them and how to motivate them. I think our quarterback situation has been the best since I've been here. Are we there yet? No, we're not. We got to get better. They're going to have to get better this summer. I think in the running back room, we took strides at certain times, and I think we need to get all those guys to be able to make plays. I think we're young at wide receiver. It's going to be the youngest we've been at wide receiver. We're bringing in talented players, a few transfers, a few talented freshmen, and we had some talented freshmen, but our upperclassmen like Gunnar Deere and Ontario White are going to have to step up and lead these guys because there's going to be a lot of unfamiliar names that you hear next fall from the wide receiver room. I think our tight ends have got better. So I think we've really improved in every aspect, whether it was depth or getting people accountable or people bought in or changing people's mindsets. I think we've improved. Okay. And, that doesn't mean that we're going to win any more football games than we did last year. You're going to have to do that every Saturday, and you're going to have to get lucky in this game. But I think we're taking the necessary steps to become a better football program. We got a brand new strength coach who has NFL experience that he just started a few weeks ago, and he's big into Olympic lifting. So maybe our guys are going to get more explosive. And I loved what Coach Adams did in our program, but it's one of those things that, hey, we got a new guy, and if they buy in to Coach Odell and we get just a percent better, then we're going to be a better overall football program.
What excited you the most about the practices in the spring game? Was it sounds like maybe the defense, maybe a little bit maybe a little bit further along than offense at this point in time. Would that be safe to say?
Yeah, I think the exciting part was, selfishly for me was I went from, last spring, Wes Coombs was our defense coordinator, left after a practice. So I was the interim D coordinator, and I go to coach running backs last year under Coach Hennis. To Dante leaves, and I go back to being the defensive coordinator. So kind of picking up the excitement of being an offensive coach to, okay, for the first time in my career or in a long time in my career, I haven't coached defense, to back to being the defensive coordinator and getting those juices flowing and that excitement of, okay, this is what Dante did. This is what I think I could add to what we did this year to get better and then go out in the spring and show it with, two young GAs and Jacob Garcia coaching the DBs with me for the first time that he's coached DBs. And I was able to, take three young coaches and progress them in their career. And we got some phenomenal results from our starting defense. And the two opportunities, really, we had three opportunities where we kind of went live, and those guys played really well. And then to change my mindset 4 weeks later to now I'm an offensive coach and we're creating this new offense. So I'm equally excited about doing that now.
Sounds like Jack Del Rio's in the background wanting to also give some advice and talk about his time there with in the spring game. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So we talked about the defense there. Do you feel like that offensively you've kind of in your mind penciled in your starting quarterback or running back for the fall? And of course, that could change with how things go in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be competition. Billy took a bulk of our first team reps. Austin Zavala was coming off of surgery, so he didn't get any reps this spring. Dakota Lynn did a phenomenal job, and in our spring game, he scored one of our touchdowns. And then one of our new incoming guys, Jace Holt, he scored the other touchdown in our spring game. So, no, those were two guys, and then. My man Reyes, a transfer quarterback from Iowa Wesleyan, did some nice stuff. So I think we're deeper than we've been in that room. I think from a standpoint of there was no kind of controversy who our guy was, because at least what had Tyler had done going into it was, hey, Bill's our guy, and it's still going to be a competition, but I just want everybody to know that Bill's our guy, and we had, what he had felt the most success last season when Bill was in the game, which was pretty easy when, Austin could not perform at all this spring, and Dakota was coming off of surgery. So there wasn't a lot of controversy there, but Austin will be healthy at some point. Dakota did some really nice things, and Jace Holt is a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal quarterback. So we're going to be in a situation where we have four really good options, and really even Jonathan into that race where there's going to be some good option. Derek Curtis played majority of the spring at wide receiver. In our second spring game, we let him carry the ball like 5 times, and he probably had 100 yards rushing. Maybe see him in the backfield a little bit, and Dalen Johnson and Malaki Pickle, and we got Brett DeCant, and Zach Hogan, 2 young guys that did a nice job for us. And then Malik Patterson really stepped up. He was a freshman who we redshirted last year, that he's phenomenal. So we got some good options. We'll see how the summer pans out. That's the tough thing. We in school, the end of April, those kids have May, June, and July to determine if they're going to be better football players or they're going to be worse football players.
Do you have a lot sticking around?
Yeah, there's a nice core group of, anywhere from 20 to 35 guys based on, what month it's going to be, whether it's May, June, or July. Some guys start their new leases in July, so they'll be back in July. We give those guys May off. In fact, I think they're going to start back up on May 31st. And once we get those guys started back up, they'll have about 9 weeks to get ready for our season for the ones staying in town for the summer.
So now the most important question is, at the spring game, you did have Mrs. Davis working the stand selling Ottawa University Braves gear, but yourself, the love doctor, had promised a fantastic evening because it was your anniversary. So let's see, how did everything go with the celebration of the Davises there, love doctor?
Yeah, so obviously weather played a factor at our spring game. We were supposed to start, I think, at 3 o'clock, and we didn't start until 5 o'clock or whatnot. So the wife was a little upset that we were in rain delay, which is understandable. We hadn't made any definite plans because we knew that was a possibility. Turned out all right because we went to Nagoya, the sushi place there in Ottawa, which is a phenomenal sushi place. For anyone that's outside the city of Ottawa, I think it's top-notch sushi. It's got to be one of the top places in the state of Kansas. 4.7 rating on Yelp with 667 reviews. Got to be one of the top rated restaurants in Ottawa. So I was able to salvage the day. Her favorite food is sushi by taking her to Nagoya's Steak and Sushi there on South Princeton Circle Drive there in Ottawa, right outside of Primetime Grill.
So for the anniversary gift, what did you do? What did you pick the wife up? What did you? Please tell me it wasn't like a vacuum or dishes or something like that.
No, we're big on if we want something, that we just go get it for each other. So I always say, "Hey, are you sure you don't want a gift?" And she says no. Some people that's a trap and they get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
With my wife, when she tells me that she doesn't want a gift, she doesn't want a gift. So if I were to go and buy her something, I get in trouble, Bob. So I just listen to my wife. I've learned that over the years, the 6 years of marriage, and that's the big thing is we go celebrate for dinner, and I think our credit card had some charges from some different clothing stores, and I just didn't ask questions.
That's probably safer that way, and probably keeps the marriage in harmony right there by not doing so. Uh,
Yeah, no, I think that's the if you end up with a spouse that is, I'm pretty lucky that when she tells me don't give her a gift, that's not secret code for, hey, you need to get me a gift. So, and she knows we're busy, and I think the only gift she wanted was not to play football all day long, and I almost ruined that.
well, that was not you ruining that. Come on now, you can't help what Mother Nature does. That
Yeah, the football coach is in full control of the program, though. That's the
well,
sad thing.
yeah, but still, I mean, you can't help what Mother Nature does, and
Oh,
she,
I know,
you
Bob, but
know,
I that's my logic and yours, but not always a female's perspective on things.
and on that one, I'm going to nope out on saying anything past that because that was a brave statement on your part right there. Brave statement. So you had the sushi, you had a nice anniversary there. So I think now we'll look at maybe going ahead and wrapping this one up. We've got a little extra time here on this one, but a lot to get through. Uh, what as we say goodbye for this edition of the Triple F podcast, uh, kind of some final thoughts for you.
Yeah, we're just really excited about this summer, and we're definitely excited about our fan base, and we want to put a winning football product out on the field. Working really hard. We got our mega camp coming up on June 3rd. Our coaches are going to be across the state recruiting, and just continue to do a great job for Ottawa. Everybody on our staff wants to get that accomplished, and everyone on our staff wants to win football games. So we're working really hard that we can do that. And I think our players are too. And we're excited about being able to go out on the field and show people that, hopefully we're getting better than what we were last season. And I don't know how many wins that's going to translate into. Obviously the kids all care about winning a ring and all that sort of stuff. I just want to get better. I want to be better each week than what we were the week before. I want to be better this season than what we were last season in every aspect that we do. And at the end of the day, if we can accomplish that, we'll give ourselves an opportunity to be a really good football team. If we just think about the end goal and don't care about the process of getting there, we won't accomplish our goals. So that's the big thing for me.
Not sure if you were able to hear it or not, but Rex Ryan was in the background here agreeing with you. So I just want to throw that forward. Well, Coach, thank you so much. I think we'll try to make anytime I decide to kind of zero in on a date, all things break loose, and we never reach that date. But somewhere within the late June-ish, early July-ish, maybe we'll look at getting together again as we look forward to the fall camp opening up. But maybe we'll bring on the coordinators, bring on Clarence and bring on Coach Mudd and have a spectacular, if you will, for the Triple F podcast and maybe discuss their go-to food places, since we do like to do the food on this one also.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea for June or July, is get those guys on and put them in the hot seat, because they need to get prepared before they get on the hot seat during the football season. So
Yeah, training camp opens up early for me, so
yep.
yeah, no, we'll and of course, kind of the roadmap. We'll do that. We'll try to maybe do something, some quick hits in August during the fall camp, leading up to the week 0 game, and then of course we'll have the coaches show in the fall, which will have lots of fun and frivolity going on with that. And as I think we'll leave it right there. Coach, thank you for, as always, being gracious with your time, being open, being honest, and just answering questions and shaking hands and kissing babies as you always do.
I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you.
That is head coach Nick Davis of your Ottawa University Braves. I'm Bob Johnson. We'll talk to you again soon here on the Triple F Podcast.